It's another effing Monday here on UCY.TV. You're listening to some live radio now. It's Boiler Room Radio for the next 60 minutes with me and my big buddy Lance over there in Virginia. How's it going, Lance?
Pretty good, pretty good. You know, I was thinking about it earlier. At this time last year, I was actually in Indiana. Remember when I was posing with my drunken pistol stance?
Oh, yeah, your
photos.
Stance.
Beer
can stance.
Yeah, man, beer can stance. And that was a year ago, and I was helping do your show back then, so it's been over a year that I've been on with you.
God damn, dude. That's unbelievable, man. I can't believe that it's been that long.
Yeah, who would have thought that the ship would have crashed by now, man?
I know, because we were talking about it back then, how imminent it was. And
well, again, the same people warned about it for 2-3 years before the last one happened, so we're the same people.
Yeah, I reckon. Strangeness, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but good times. I barely made it. I was out to dinner tonight with the wife. Tried a new
You didn't barely
pizza joint.
You've been here for a couple of minutes already sitting down on the microphone. So
yeah, I made it 4 minutes ahead of time. But we tried out a new local pizza joint right down the road, not even 2 miles away.
That bad boy.
Man, I'll tell you what, Heaven's Pizza is the name of it. And it was hands down some of the best pizza I've ever had. Real thin New York style crust. I mean, the thing was huge. Ordered a large pizza, $12.95. Two
16,
toppings were 25 cents a piece. Yeah, 18.
18. Wow, that's a big pie now. Usually you go into a place to buy large, now it's 13 inches.
Yeah, $12.25 too, and all microbreweries on draft. So, you know, I was trying to stay within the 3-beer boiler room limit, so I made it. So, good thing there.
Well, you're part of the show. You don't have a limit. That's only for the callers.
Oh, okay, I got you.
I could just clip you, man. That's get out of control. I'll just snap.
That's right. That's right.
So, talking about out of control, let's talk about. I've been playing with my soundboard. Hang on a second. Since out of control people, Smoke'ems. Oh, wait a minute. Turn this up over here. Smoke'ems Market Minute.
Manipulate. Oh, hold on. Let me check the market real quick.
It's still being manipulated.
It's still being manipulated. Yep. So it's still being manipulated. Manipulating the masses. The conscious and intelligent manipulation of the organized habits and opinions of the masses is an important element in a democratic society.
Of the asses. They just called us a bunch of asses?
Those who manipulate this unseen mechanism of society constitute an invisible government, which is the true ruling power of our country. We are governed, our minds are molded, our taste formed, our ideas suggested, largely by men we have never heard of. There is a logical result of the way in which our democratic society is organized. Vast numbers of human beings must cooperate in this manner if they are to live together as a smoothly functioning society. In almost every act of our daily lives, whether in the sphere of politics or business, in our social conduct or ethical thinking, we are dominated by the relatively small number of persons who understand the mental process and social patterns of the masses. It is they who pull the wires which control the public mind. Propaganda by Edward L. Bernays, the father of modern advertising, in 1928.
Whoa.
Manipulating the masses is a reality, not a conspiracy. Is that pretty strong? I thought that was pretty strong.
That was pretty strong. A little in your face, kind of, yeah.
Kind of. And a little bit of market news. I think it was still above 17,000 last I looked. But again, it's manipulated, so who cares? Dumb money's going in, smart money's going out. Citigroup today reached $7 billion mortgage bond settlement for their part in the debacle of the collapse of 2008. So again, where does $7 billion actually go? Who gets it? You got any clues?
Boat builders, some construction guys, driveway builders. You know, everybody's got to have a circular driveway, right? So whichever guy on Wall Street doesn't have a boat yet, he's probably got part of that $7 billion. I imagine Cheney got a big handful of it.
Halliburton.
Probably the Bushes.
Yeah, the Bushes, Rumsfeld, Cheney. There's been plenty of people.
It doesn't go into our economy, that's for goddamn sure. I mean, it's not going to go to build a bridge or anything.
No.
There's some roads. You know, there's some road repair work done out there at Yellowstone because the caldera is getting so hot it's boiling roads out there.
I hope we get a chance to talk about that too. But I mean, the last I heard, this money was supposed to be used to
prop up
offset the mortgage. Well, no, offset the mortgages for the people that ended up buying homes on those adjustable rate mortgages or ones that have been doing loan modifications.
Oh, yeah.
They say it's going back to the customers that bought homes during that time. But
yeah, sure.
Yeah, I don't believe it.
Me neither.
In sad news.
Oh, no.
And there's actually job losses. We don't ever really do stories on job losses. We always talk about the unemployment and, how under.
Hell yeah, it's almost down under 6%, man. We're banging along. Don't. Okay, go ahead.
Trump Entertainment Resorts plans to close one of its 2 Atlantic City casinos in September.
Well,
putting about 1,000 people out of work in the seaside New Jersey resort town. Employees were notified today that the company is reviewing options for the Trump Plaza Hotel and Casino and plans to shutter it as soon as September 16th.
Well, that's all right. They can all go to work for Chris Christie cooking his fat-ass food.
Isn't he on a weight thing because he was running for president? If he doesn't lose weight, he's not running for president. That's all, But
that motherfucker couldn't lose weight if no.
Surgery. It would require surgery.
Absolutely. They'd have to cut off half of his mouth so that he'd stop stuffing it.
Since you're talking about that, in an unrelated story, Portsmouth, which is a high crime city, actually right across the water from us, not too far away, the mayor of Portsmouth was probably 200 pounds overweight. He had the surgery. He's out walking every day. He's on the news every night. He's actually trying to do something really positive with his weight loss. Right. He's in the public every day. He saw himself
talking
on TV. Yeah, talking about it every day, getting people out there walking, people join him in the walks. So, there are some good things said about losing weight, but I don't think Christie's going to do it.
No.
The East Coast gambling hub is withering amid growing regional competition. The Atlantic Club closed in January, and that's a Caesars Entertainment Corporation casino.
The Atlantic Club was?
Yeah.
Ooh.
And the Caesars Entertainment Corp plans to shut down the Showboat on August 31st, and the Revel, the $2.4 billion mirrored glass casino that was supposed to usher in a resurgence for the city, is in search for a buyer while in bankruptcy.
Oof.
The big issue for this region is that
$2 billion building in bankruptcy.
In bankruptcy, and
that's
the big issue is that you'll have 6,000 to 8,000 people who will now be unemployed. Assemblyman Vincent Mazzeo, a Democrat who represents Atlantic City in the state legislature, said in an interview, "That's going to have a devastating effect on our economy and in this region." And I got to agree. New Jersey's been hit, Atlantic City and around that whole area with the Sandy and some other stuff. So this is another huge blow.
Join the other 98 million that are out of work. Welcome to the club.
Yeah.
Right? I'm sure. I hate to put it like that so bluntly, but you ain't the only 6,000 people out of work, so quit bitching.
Well, in a related story, the Air Force cuts to Langley Air Force Base, which is right here, which is TAC headquarters, the Tactical Air Command. Mm-hmm. This is where we got all the F-22s. This is the headquarters of all air operations on the East Coast. The Air Force plans to cut 742 positions at the Combat Command Headquarters located here at Langley Air Force Base as part of its downsizing and reorganization. The plan does not break down the 742 positions between military and civilian, but it does mean that 742 people at Langley are losing their jobs. And it means 742 positions are coming off the books. So
yeah, the government's saving all this money by cutting people's paychecks and shit. Then why are we in such dire straits?
isn't that amazing? It's kind of in the market minute with, right here in Hampton, Virginia, we have one of the largest VA medical centers on the East Coast.
Mm-hmm.
I think Raleigh's a little bit bigger, but I mean, this is a huge, huge VA hospital that we have here. Let me see if I can get this story to come up, because the Hampton VA Center, now it's not working for some reason. But this one, local, in the news lately has been a lot of the VA centers are taking a lot of heat for being, 6 months? I've heard at some places.
One guy got his appointment about 2 years after he died.
Yeah, 2 years after he died, and that was a sad one. But the nice thing about this one is in June, they were at 58 days for primary care, and they're down to 39. Specialty care, they were at 68 days, they're down to 45 days. And mental health, they were at 54 days, and now they're down to a 29-day wait for an appointment. And appointments are up 33%.
I just got to step in here.
We've got a huge problem. Huge problem.
Yeah, somebody with a mental health condition needs to see somebody way before a month down the road.
39 days.
Okay, that's ridiculous. And like I said a couple weeks ago, and I can't remember where I saw this quote, but whoever said it was a genius. If you cannot afford to take care of your soldiers as a country, then you cannot afford to go to war.
But we've done a video, or I can't remember, we talked about it, but I saw one. We've been treating our soldiers like this from the very first war that we had in this country.
Because they're just pawns in the game. You notice how not very many senators' kids come back missing limbs or, any of that shit. Although they all do some kind of military service because it looks good on their resume when they go to run for Senate. But yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of strange. I don't like this country any longer.
I don't like our government for sure. I think I love the country. I think the people.
Yeah.
A lot of them have good intentions. I think there's a lot of good people out there, like all the listeners. In fact, that was one of the things I was going to talk about later is the 72-hour kit, and just go through some stuff that I saw that I hadn't thought of before, and maybe we can go through it and remind somebody to put it in theirs.
Yeah, we'll go around here and hit the videos real quick, and then I got one video that I want to play that I caught online today from the TED conference. It was a pretty good one. I'm going to play that here after these two. And it is Monday, so Scott has a hyper report out, 2 minutes and 20 seconds, and here's Scott.
Hello, this is Scott, and this is the Hyper Report. Here are the quotes for various items. First, Germany's choice. Behind the public political facade, a choice is brewing in Germany. Align with the U.S. or Russia. Currently, when asked in separate questions to which country Germans should make themselves dependent upon on foreign policy, 69% favored the U.S. while 75% favored Russia. Believe it or not, this did not start with the NSA spying on Germans, but when Germany disagreed with President Bush to invade Iraq after 9/11. Next, Mexico. Although being downplayed or not even reported, key Mexican financial leaders and politicians have been working to begin backing the peso with silver. So if this were to happen, how long would it take Obama and others to rescue Mexico, like Libya, from sound money? Next, food inflation. The consumer price of ground beef in May rose 10.4% from a year earlier, while pork chop prices climbed 12.7%. The price of fresh fruit rose 7.3% and oranges 17.1%. Cereals and bakery products were up just 0.1%, and vegetable prices inched up only 0.5%. The U.S. Department of Agriculture predicts overall food prices will increase 2.5% to 3.5% this year. Anyone else see a disconnect? Next, explain. A second federal judge has ordered the criminals at the IRS to explain how 2 years of Lois Lerner's emails were lost. Lerner was the former head of the agency's tax-exempt division that obviously targeted Obama's domestic enemies. So is Lois Lerner going to Fort Marcy Park soon? Next, security theater. While the TSA strictly enforces ID and security requirements on American citizens, illegal aliens are now being allowed to board and fly on commercial aircraft without having to show any ID at all. This bizarre decision clearly shows that the TSA has been nothing more than security theater. Next, consequences. There's one good piece of news coming out of Obama's border inaction. The Department of Homeland Security now needs $3.7 billion in emergency funds because of all those children. Needless to say, many in Congress this close to the election are not up for it. Obama and those who support illegal immigration are finding out that there are consequences such as not being able to buy massive amounts of bullets anymore. Next, essentials for solar. Without going into detail, here are the 4 essential things for solar power. 1. Photovoltaic solar panels. 2. Charge controller. 3. Battery pack. 4. DC to AC inverter. Finally, please prepare now for the escalating economic and social unrest. Good day.
And the quotes from Alfred Bonaparte. Nobody ever did or ever will escape the consequences of their choices. And that was a good one. I like that quote.
Is he right on the solar panels? Are those the 4 things that you got to have?
Yes. Yes. And if you're going to put wind up with your solar, you have to have a dump load for your wind. So when your batteries are full and the windmill is still pushing power, it has some place to dump that power. Because you don't want to overcharge your batteries.
Where does it dump it?
You can construct your own dump load, or you can buy them online. It's just like a big resistor. You know what I mean? It just dissipates heat. It develops it. Turns the electricity into heat, and then dissipates it off into the room. Usually, you'll get a dump load. It'll come in a metal box with a bunch of fans on it, and it'll just dissipate the heat that way. Or I've seen people hook them up to water heaters, a secondary water heater in their shed or something, and it just keeps the water nice and warm for you. So you got extra hot water, which is a pretty good idea. I think that's what I'm going to do with mine. Let me see. Go back here and try to find Greg. I didn't see any Greg Manarino. He didn't put one out on Friday either.
Maybe somebody offed him.
No, there he is. Stock market, a major derivative bubble. Ooh, man, it's a long one, 11 minutes and something. We'll see how long before he starts repeating himself.
We know it. We know it's a bubble.
Yeah.
Pop, 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 pop. Hi, everybody. It's me, Greg Manarino. How are you today? It is Monday, July 14th,
Hey, he got his haircut.
2014. Okay, people, I'm going to cover some very important things today. And I really feel that if you're looking to get into this market here and understand how this whole convoluted thing works, you should pay a little attention to what I'm about to say here. You could probably only imagine the amount of questions I get regarding a lot of issues. But I think at the top of that list is really how the market works. And that's going to play into something called derivatives. And I want to really try to shed light on this in a simple way, but in a way that you can understand it. Because people don't, by and large, even traders or people who consider themselves market people, they don't get it. But meanwhile, it's a very simple concept, but it's very dangerous. And when I go over some of these things with you, I am more than certain you're going to go, wow, I had no idea. That's how this actually works here. Now, the title of this video refers to the stock market itself as a derivative bubble, which it clearly is. But what you need to understand before I go into the specifics here is everything involves derivatives right now. And it's so huge. And I'm talking about currencies, interest rates, index funds, you name it, across the board. And not only does it involve these simple elements, but each one of these things are divided further down and broken down into other derivatives. And the issue with this is it involves quadrillions of dollars. Quadrillions, okay? So that should put at least a perspective on how monstrous this is and how it is going to lead at one point to really an issue that is insurmountable and really will wipe out the financial system as we know it. It's very, very dangerous.
Is he going anywhere with this, Lance?
All right, so let's start with this. What is
Doesn't sound like it.
Very, very simple.
Okay, so obviously,
We know it's in a bubble.
Right. I mean, he's just trying to drive home a point to his listeners. It's a point that we've already gotten about a year ago, that this is all bullshit, and these derivatives are going to be the end of us because the bankers can't stop being greedy. They want everything. They want to own everything. They want to take every last real dollar that they can get, or whatever you want to call it, gold coins, silver. They want it all. They want everything. They want all the land, all the fucking water. They want it all. Right?
Even the middle class. That's why they're pumping up the stock market, so people feel that, hey, it's at 17,000 right now. I should get into it. I should put more into it right now. It's exactly more of the manipulation that they're doing just to get more of our money.
All right. Now, this is the one I found on Facebook earlier today. This guy's his last name's Hanauer, and he was at the TED conference. I'll get his first name in a minute.
I saw that.
I'm getting ready to throw it on here. But this guy is a multimillionaire. He's a inventor, I think. He's in the techie stuff, I believe. I'm not sure who Hanauer is. I might have to Google him later on. Maybe Lance can do that while the video is playing and let us know who he is and what he owns. But anyway, he's at this TED conference, and he's talking to a bunch of other people that go to the TED conferences. I wasn't invited. I didn't get my ticket or anything, so I didn't go. But, these people are wealthy individuals that my phone's ringing at the house here. That's okay. It can ring. Yeah, it's an Arkansas caller. These people run this country. They've got all the industry going on. They're the ones that are making things. They're the ones that are creating the jobs and stuff like that. Or supposedly, that's why they get together and talk about all this stuff. So anyway, here we go.
It is astounding how significantly one idea can shape a society and its policies. Consider this one.
Nick Hanauer.
Taxes on the rich go up. Job creation will go down. This idea is an article of faith for Republicans and seldom challenged by Democrats, and has indeed shaped much of the economic landscape. But sometimes the ideas that we are certain are true are dead wrong. Consider that for thousands of years, humans believed that the Earth was the center of the universe. It's not, and an astronomer who still believed that it was would do some pretty terrible astronomy. Likewise, a policymaker who believes that the rich are job creators and therefore should not be taxed will do equally terrible policy. I have started or helped start dozens of companies and initially hired lots of people, but if there was no one around who could afford to buy what we had to sell, all those companies and all those jobs would have evaporated. That's why I can say with confidence that rich people don't create jobs, nor do businesses large or small. Jobs are a consequence of a circle of life-like feedback loop between customers and businesses. And only consumers can set in motion this virtuous cycle of increasing demand and hiring. In this sense, an ordinary consumer is more of a job creator than a capitalist like me. That's why when business people take credit for creating jobs, it's a little bit like squirrels taking credit for creating evolution. It's actually the other way around. Anyone who's ever run a business knows that hiring more people is a course of last resort for capitalists. It's what we do if and only if rising consumer demand requires it. And in this sense, calling ourselves job creators isn't just inaccurate, it's disingenuous. That's why our existing policies are so upside down. When the biggest tax exemptions and the lowest tax rates benefit the richest, all in the name of job creation, all that happens is that the rich get richer. Since 1980, the share of income for the top 1% of Americans has more than tripled, while our effective tax rates have gone down by 50%. If it was true that lower taxes for the rich and more wealth for the wealthy led to job creation, today we would be drowning in jobs. And thank you. And yet unemployment and underemployment is at record highs. Another reason that this idea is so wrong-headed is that there can never be enough super rich people to power a great economy. Somebody like me makes hundreds or thousands of times as much as the median American, but I don't buy hundreds or thousands of times as much stuff. My family owns 3 cars, not 3,000. I buy a few pairs of pants and shirts a year like most American men. Occasionally we go out to eat with friends. I can't buy enough of anything to make up for the fact that millions of unemployed and underemployed Americans can't buy any new cars, any clothes, or enjoy any meals out. Nor can I make up for the falling consumption of the vast majority of middle-class families that are barely squeaking by, buried by spiraling costs and trapped by stagnant or declining wages. Here's an incredible fact, that if the typical American family still retained the same share of income that they did in 1970, they'd earn like $45,000 more a year. Imagine what our economy would be like if that were the case. Significant privileges have come to people like me, capitalists, for being perceived as job creators at the center of the economic universe, and the language and metaphors we use to defend the current economic and social arrangements is telling. It's a small jump from job creator to the creator. This language obviously this language was not chosen by accident. And it's only honest to admit that when somebody like me calls themselves a job creator, we're not just describing how the economy works, but more particularly, we're making a claim on status and privileges that we deserve. Speaking of special privileges, the extraordinary differential between the 15% tax rate that capitalists pay on carried interest, dividends, and capital gains, and the 35% top marginal rate on work that ordinary Americans pay, is kind of hard to justify without a touch of deification. We've had it backwards for the last 30 years. Rich people like me don't create jobs. Jobs are a consequence of an ecosystemic feedback loop between customers and businesses. And when the middle class thrives, businesses grow and hire, and owners profit. That's why taxing the rich to pay for investments that benefit all is such a fantastic deal for the middle class and the rich. So, ladies and gentlemen, here's an idea worth spreading. In a capitalist economy, the true job creators are middle-class consumers. And taxing the rich to make investments that make the middle class grow and thrive is the single shrewdest thing we can do for the middle class, for the poor, and for the rich. Thank you.
Imagine that. A millionaire spewing the truth, telling the government pretty much flat out, tax me more so that you can build the economy, stupid. Who is this guy? Lance? Nick Hanna.
Would it surprise you that everybody on the right is trouncing this guy and calling him an idiot, uninformed, has no idea what he's freaking talking about?
That's why he's a multimillionaire, right?
And then everybody on the left is going, yeah, this guy could work. So according to Wikipedia, which is my least favorite source of information, but I knew it would have, what he did. I mean, he was one of the first investors in Amazon, so that's big money. He founded Gear.com, which merged with Overstock.com. So, I mean, he's had some pretty good luck on some investments that he's made over the years, that's for sure. Forbes just bust everything that he says and tries to paint it in a disparaging picture. Because, Forbes doesn't want to tax the rich, but then you got the Huffington Post over here saying that, back a $15 minimum wage or prepare for a revolution. What is interesting about it is that speech that we just heard, in May of 2012, several online news outlets reported the TED Talk from the Hanauer presented on March 1st was not chosen to be posted by TED.
That's right.
In the short presentation, he speaks about the rising income inequality in the U.S. and the problems that may cause to future business ventures as he feels the middle-class consumer is far more responsible for job creation than the wealthy entrepreneurs like himself. So it's funny that they wouldn't even post this on their site back in 2012.
And it was from 2 years ago he said this. Yeah. That wasn't this year's TED speech. I think Ted's around in October or something like that. I'm not sure, but
right.
2 years ago.
So somebody must have leaked it because, again, it wasn't even reported by mainstream media. It was just online news outlets reported the TED Talk, and that's all it is.
The only reason I know anything about the TED Talk is because that's the first place I saw Bill Gates do his creepy little release the mosquitoes thing. He was at a TED Talk and did that. That's the only reason I knew that there was even a TED conference. I couldn't tell you what TED stood for, or if it's a guy, or if it's an acronym, or I have no idea. But I know it's a bunch of rich assholes that get together, just like, Bohemian Grove.
Yeah.
Anyhow, that guy spewed some truth. I know he was talking to the homies, but still. Now that it's out there and it's on the World Wide Webber, it's going to be there forever.
Oh, are we talking about the truth for a minute? Here, hold on.
Yeah, sure.
All right. I got turned on to a guy not too long ago. You've probably known him. If any of the listeners do not know him, start following the guy because, he's got an alternative view for sure. Noam Chomsky?
Yeah, I know Chomsky.
Noam, Noam Chomsky, Chomsky. We're past the market stuff and the other stuff. I'll dive into the Israel Palestine thing.
That's pretty deep, dude. Be careful.
Well, I'll just
way
touch
deeper than 10 feet. Make sure you know get your water wings on.
I know. I'll just touch on it here because I know it's a touchy subject.
No, say whatever you want to say on the subject. You want to hear what I say? I say that Israel is guilty of apartheid and they need to go before the world court. I think that Netanyahu needs to be up in front of the Hague for war crimes, and all the IDF soldiers need to be arrested and thrown in prison.
Right. When Israelis in the occupied territories now claim that they have to defend themselves, they are defending themselves in the same sense that any military occupier has to defend itself against the population they are crushing. You can't defend yourself when you're militarily occupying someone else's land.
Right.
That's not defense. Call it what you like, but it's not defense. And that was a quote that he had on his most recent article that he puts it out.
Yep.
But I find the pro-Israel, con-Israel, I don't know what word you would use for being against Israel.
Anti-Semitic?
Anti-Semitic. Anti-Semitic.
Yeah, okay. They like to yell at everybody that says anything bad about the Jews. You're anti-Semite!
But I find it fascinating how many people in the American public have heart Israel just because their friends did it or mainstream media tells them to do it without doing any research. I just find that so baffling. I don't even know what to make of it.
The last thing I saw or heard before we went on air here and I started digging around was that there was a couple of UN observers down there in Gaza during this latest round of bombings. They were at a hospital, and they heard the sirens go off. I guess some leaflets got dropped. I guess the Israeli Air Force says that they try to warn everybody before they start dropping bombs so the civilians can get out of the way, right? So anyway, they're standing out in the street, getting ready to head for the basement of a nearby building, and the planes go over and drop the bombs anyway, as the leaflets are still falling from the sky. And they struck a power station about 200 meters up the road from these UN observers. And when they got down in the basement, they immediately got on a cell phone and called back to some headquarters at the UN or whatever and told them There's no reason for them to strike this power station. It's not anywhere near any Hamas headquarters or anything like that. All they did was kill power to the hospital. So I think Israel is stepping on their dicks right now because there's a lot of eyes watching what's going on there, and this latest round of bombings is doing nothing but killing civilian people. The last number I saw was 160.
Did you see the
early today?
Did you see the video that they're actually sending a warning shot?
Yeah, they hit the top of the house.
Yes.
Yeah, they hit the top. That's called knocking on the roof. They hit the top of the house with a small detonation.
Right.
It doesn't do any damage.
It doesn't do any damage whatsoever.
Well, it knocks some shingles off and shit. But then the 500-pounder comes in about 2 seconds later.
No, 96 seconds.
Yeah, a minute and a half.
68 to 96 seconds. And the video that I saw was how far can you run in 98 seconds or 68 seconds? I can't remember which. But, the guy videoed it, and sure enough, this artillery round came in, hit the roof, and then less than, 2 minutes later, boom, it was black smoke everywhere you could see.
Yeah, but what the people that are living next door 5 feet away,
don't hear it.
Right, and the walls don't give a shit. They go through those houses too when they get blown out by the 500-pound bomb, or the 155 or whatever the hell they're hitting it with. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I saw the whole front facade of that house came down in that video. You could watch that as the explosion went off inside. You could see it before the dust enveloped everything in the area. You could see that whole front facade just fall to the ground.
Yeah.
I don't know what Hamas uses as headquarters, but that sure looked like a, 3-bed, 2-bath family home, maybe even an apartment, upstairs, downstairs type of deal. Don't know. But, whatever. They're just, they have they want to exterminate the Palestinian people and take over all of the land. They want the Gaza Strip back. They want the West Bank back. I misspoke. They want to steal it from the Palestinians because everything that Israel has, they've stolen from the Palestinians. They have no Air Force. They have no Navy. They have no army. The Palestinian people have nothing, and they're going up against a nation that's funded by the United States taxpayer to the tune of billions. It's not a war. It's an extermination. And we're culpable because we don't say shit about it.
Well, we fund it. We give them all their money. We give them more money.
I don't give them goddamn thing. The government takes money from me and gives it to them. The government steals money from me and gives it to those criminals.
Yeah, which is the part about we don't like our government but love our country.
I'm not so sure I love this. I like this little piece that I bought down here, but it's getting laden with nanoparticulate aluminum and barium and strontium, and they're doing this to the whole fucking planet, dude. I want off this planet.
I woke up Saturday morning and I was out in Seaford. And I walked outside. It was about, 8 o'clock in the morning. Looked up at the sky, and I'm telling you, there were 8 to 10 distinct lines just going through the sky. Not even contrails or clouds of any proportion. Pure, flat out exhaust from a plane. Chemtrails. Unreal.
Thanks, Hunt. Hunt just put a picture in the chat of what Israel's done to the Palestinian land over the years. How much they've stolen.
It really baffles me at the propaganda, at the intellectual level of the masses of the American public that support Israel without knowing why they're, quote-unquote, supporting Israel.
Well, they got these interviews on the street of people over there screaming about the rockets coming from Gaza and Hamas shooting them down and blah, or, the Iron Dome shooting them down. And they're like, we have to defend ourselves against these hundreds of rockets that are coming in. None of them have done any damage.
So
none of them have done any damage. Look at the damage that you guys do in one day over there.
So who is Hamas?
they're a legitimate part of the government as far as I know now, right? I mean, they got people that were elected in the
Palestinian government, you mean?
Yeah.
Then why does everybody on mainstream media call them radical terrorists and no part of a legitimate government? And Israel's not at war with the Palestinians.
Defending themselves against a goddamn country that wants them eliminated.
It's just so baffling, though, that people believe
one man's terrorist
propaganda.
is another man's freedom fighter, right?
Every day on the news, they're saying Israel isn't at war with Palestine. They're against Hamas, and they're,
then why
Hamas is the only one.
Palestinian kids,
Hamas is the only one that they're, that's killing Israelis, and so that's the only
why
one
they got videos
targeting.
of them shooting teenagers dead, walking home, across the fence line. Right, whatever. RT had a reporter over there. I can't think of her name. Forgive me. But she was walking around talking to the Palestinians, and she walked around and on the Israeli side of the border in the settlements too, right? And was talking to people over there. Got both sides of the story. Mm-hmm. And the Israeli people were like, look up in the hill. See the kids? They're running down here to grab rocks to throw at us when we drive by in our cars. They smash our windows just as we're driving down the road. It's like, number one, it's not your fucking road. You stole it from those people, so they got a right to throw rocks at you. But number two, 2 minutes later, they got in a car and drove over the other side of the fence, and they got through the border checkpoint, told them we're with RT, we're doing this report, blah, blah, blah. They let them through. They went over and talked to the kids that were on the hill running that the Israelis were saying were gathering rocks to throw at them. And they looked in the bags, and she said, the only thing I saw in the bags was the grenades, the smoke grenades that the IDF soldiers shoot at them, the tear gas grenades. They go and collect them up so that the little kids don't pick them up and then rub their face and get the chemicals in their eyes and shit and start their eyes burning. That's why they go collect them, so that the kids don't grab them. So, it's just, like you said, it's propaganda. It's 6 of one, half dozen of the other, right? Who are you going to believe? You're going to believe these occupying assholes that are trying to steal land from the Palestinians by eliminating them, by bombing their water supply, by bombing their power supply, by cutting off their food, bombing the tunnels so they can't get any kind of medical supplies in or out, or are you going to believe the little kids throwing rocks at tanks?
Because that's what they're doing. I mean, they're sitting there in the street throwing rocks at tanks. I mean, there are so many good videos out there that I even quit posting them. I see it's not even worth the argument. When I see these number of people posting pro-Israel stuff, heart Israel, everything else, I just turn a blind eye to it. It's not even worth the effort to try to convert these people to the truth.
Yeah.
Would you agree? I mean, on the government, on how corrupt the government is, the financial system going to collapse, the two-party system's bullshit. That's worth me trying to convince you for a little while. I'll post some truths for you. This one, I don't think you're ever going to sway anybody.
Sad, isn't it?
Pathetic. It's not even sad. It's freaking pathetic. That it's just like I started out the show reading about the manipulation. Most of us, I mean all of us, have been manipulated our whole lives. Whether or not we bought into it is the only difference. Or woke up to the reality of it at some future point in our lives.
My birthday's in a week, man. I'm still waiting
for the third strand.
Yeah.
A week from today?
Yep. So next Monday I'll be 46 years old doing a live radio show.
That's pretty damn old.
Yeah, I'm fucking old, dude. But I was still up on a ladder hanging shingles on the side of my house for 2 days straight in 100-degree temperature. I could work an 18-year-old in the dirt. I don't think anybody's going to get it, man. I'm going to be honest with you. It took me 30 years of my life before I got it.
Yeah, I mean, I thought about that earlier. I wish I would have woken up sooner. I wish
way sooner.
Knew sooner.
Way sooner.
Yeah, I mean, at least 10 years ago would have been nice. I might have had a little bit more trouble accepting the truth that I don't have as much trouble accepting now. But I think it would have been intriguing enough to me to investigate it.
I think back then, I'm talking a couple decades ago now for us, we were too bulletproof, man. We were out to set our asses on fire and show the world. So, I think that's why. But these youngsters now, like, Nick coming on after me, he gets it. He gets it. Well, he comes on straight after me on Wednesdays, but
right.
He'll be on at 10 o'clock tonight, or 11 o'clock tonight, 10 my time. He gets it, and a bunch of the people in his generation get it, and it's amazing to me how. And I think it's because of the technological advances. Because when you and I were kids, we were playing with Tonka trucks and shit. Now they're playing with iPads.
Well, and we've talked about it before, and there's a lot of kids his age or his generation that are waking up to it. But how do you keep them interested in it? Because I see that being a problem is, okay.
You got to strike a passion.
Thank you. They wake up to it for a little bit, and they're passionate about it for a couple weeks, maybe a couple months at the most, falls by the wayside, and then they quit listening to alternative media because they got too much other stuff.
Well, you got to make it trendy then, like Coney 2012, right?
I don't know.
Some naked guy to run around the street and get arrested?
I don't have a whole lot of faith in the current generation that is supposed to, quote unquote, take over. I don't have a whole lot of faith in that generation. I mean, if you're under 25, let's say 28, you've grown up knowing how to cuss out every adult, as a perfect stranger, just because a lot of people have no respect for authority, as they said Cartman said on South Park. But I don't have a whole lot of faith in them.
Damn, dude, you're talking about your daughter.
I'm using real life examples too. I mean, they have no respect. I mean, I see how she acts to other people and around, and me and her grandmother and mother. And I mean, I would have never, ever been able to say some of the stuff that she says and gets away with without being an imprint in the wall.
Yeah, we
in the drywall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I accidentally, this is going back, way back. I think I was 17. I just enlisted in the Army, so I thought I was hot shit on a stick.
Mm-hmm.
And I was going in at 17. I got mom and dad to sign the papers and shit because my birthday's in July, so I was kind of an off. I graduated high school at 17. Right. But, so I thought I was hot shit on a stick, man. And got in a fight with mom and dad about something, and I was walking out the door, and I let slip a little "fuck you" under my breath to my mom.
Mm-hmm.
And I was walking out to the car, and my dad beat me to the car. And he opened my door for me. And he said, "Go ahead and have a seat." And he shut the door, and I rolled the window down because I knew he was still going to talk to me. And he looked me in the eye and he said, "You're bigger than I am now. You're taller than me and you're stronger than I am. But I'm going to tell you something. I got a gun in the house. And the next time you ever talk to your mother like that, I'll shoot you." He said, "I won't kill you, but I'll shoot you." He said, "If I'm not allowed to talk to your mom like that, you're not allowed to talk to your mom like that." And I know he meant it.
Mm-hmm.
Because he probably would have put a bullet in my ass. Easy.
Mm-hmm.
And he would have explained it off to the cops. He says, "My kid, my gun, I'll shoot the motherfucker if I want."
Back then, you could get away with it.
Yeah, right. I mean, you could. The cop would probably look at me and slap me upside the head. "Don't you ever talk to your mom like that, or I'll put a bullet in your other cheek."
Exactly.
So, but yeah, that's the way we were raised. And look, I mean, I think I turned out all right. I mean, there's probably quite a few people in chat and listening to the radio station that don't give a shit about me, think I'm some kind of asshole. But hey, I introduce myself that way to everybody I meet the first time I talk myself to them.
Yeah, but you're not
my name's Jim Funke. I'm the biggest asshole you'll ever meet.
But you're not going to go out of your way to do evil to somebody. And
no, but I'm also the guy that will give you the shirt off my back if I think you deserve it. I'm an asshole to people that deserve to be assholed to. You know? If you get my dander up, you're going to get my bad side. But if you're good to me, I'll be the best to you. So, I think a lot more kids nowadays need a lot more tannin ass. You know, when you're walking through the department store and you pop off to your mom, she should be able to turn around and backhand your ass up against the side of the building if that's what it takes. Now, I don't agree with flat out beating a kid to death, you know, right, or locking them in a closet or anything like that. But if they're popping off, pop them upside the head and get their attention. You know, it's respect. It's a respect thing.
Yeah, and then you kind of go against the grain of, you know, how does violence solve, you know, anything? Well, damn it, we didn't have all the problems we have now.
It's not violence, man. It's not violence. It's attention getting.
Yeah.
Violence is when you chase them around the house with a goddamn ball bat and break their arm and you know, put them in the hospital. That's beating your kid. That's child abuse. But if you're, you know, if the kid's walking through the grocery store knocking shit off the shelf and, you know what I mean, you got to get his attention. You can't just, you know what I mean, you can't just stand there and look at him and go, Tommy, stop it. Tommy, stop it. Tommy, you're not being, you're being your bad self. You got to be your good self.
Timeouts don't work.
No. You bust that kid's ass and you drag him outside and you put him in the car and you go home and you leave him with the old man and then you go back and do your shopping, or vice versa, leave him with the old lady if you're doing the shopping. You know what I mean?
I think I quit spanking my kids at 12, maybe. When they became teenagers, they became too old to spank because I never got spanked as a teenager.
No consequences then.
Right. So at that point, it's take away the, you know,
no phone for
conveniences of life. Yeah.
You come home from school,
conveniences of life, right.
Do your homework, eat your dinner, go right to your room. That's it.
So, I mean, I think
for a month.
Yeah, there's a time when you stop. I mean, they're 17, 18. You don't want to be spanking them over the butt or, I mean, I can see smacking them upside the face one time because teenagers' mouths get pretty damn out of control.
And you paid for that dental work, so you got a right to knock it around a little bit.
I called my dad ignorant one time at 16 years old and couldn't hear out of my left ear for 2 weeks.
Did he get you or did your mom get you?
My dad. He smacked me right upside the head on the ear, open-fisted, you know, open-handed, not with a fist or anything. I heard ringing in the ear for 2 weeks, and I'm not exaggerating.
But you didn't pop your eardrum, man.
Yeah, well, you know, probably could have. But
it was always the opposite at my house. Usually if I was in an argument with one of them, the other one got me. You know, I'd be standing there popping off to dad. Oh, yeah, well, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. Bing! Upside the head comes mom, man, because she's just lurking around, or vice versa. You know, I'd be standing there bitching at mom, and dad would come around the corner and pow!
Just the number of posts that I see online nowadays of kids under 22 fighting, you know, for no reason, walking up to elderly women on a bench, 4 girls, and just beating them up, and filming it for internet fame and stardom. I'm really worried about them. I'm really worried about them.
Yeah.
About us.
A couple of comments in the room. Desert Hawk said respect is earned, or that's what they say. Respect from other adults is earned. Respect in children is taught.
Right.
And my grandmother told me when I was a little kid, and I don't know why, but she did. She said, when you raise your children, for about the first 5 years, you raise them like you raise a dog. You make them fear you when you speak.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how you raise a good child. You know what I mean? She did pretty good with my mom, and, you know, I don't know. I just think the old-timey ways are the right ways.
If the world was a different place back then, that's true. There was a different time.
But there's even greater reason. That's an even greater reason that your kids need to respect you when you speak nowadays, because the world is a very dangerous place, and they can get their asses killed pretty goddamn quick in this country.
Yeah.
You know, they can get snatched off the street. They can get snatched out of school. They can get snatched out, you know what I mean? They meet, you know, creepy assholes on the internet all the time. And, you know, you see the stories all the time. We used to. You don't see it too much anymore because of the cop beatings, kind of taking over.
At 13 years old, I was hitchhiking in Germany. Oof. At 15 years old, I was hitchhiking in Italy. I mean, times have changed. Times have changed. I wouldn't ever let my 13 and 15-year-old kid hitchhike.
I'll bet you were scared to death with her overseas with your mom.
I was scared to death because she's not as street smart as I was. I mean, I moved to England when I was 9 years old. So I'm roaming the English countryside at 9, 10, 11, and 12. I'm roaming the German countryside at 12, 13, and 14, and part of 15. And I'm roaming the Italian countryside driving a frickin' motorcycle at 15, 16, 17. So, she didn't have the street smarts that I had.
Lance Musser, world traveler.
Oh man, I spent 10 years in Europe. Growing up, it's the greatest place on earth. I mean, it really is beautiful. It's better than America.
Yeah, until the United States bombed the shit out of it, and the IMF got done with it.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a different culture.
Yeah.
Over there, it's more laid back.
It goes back eons, man.
Yeah, Italy is the best place.
People don't realize this country's only about 240 years old. You're talking about when you go over to Italy and Germany and France and Europe and all throughout Europe, Central Europe and Asian, that's old school, Jack. Those countries have been around for a long time.
It's funny that you said that because they went to a couple churches that I've been to in Germany many times, and I would say. And when they came back and showed me the pictures, I said, now think about that for a second. That building you were in is 600 years older than America. Think about that. Let that sink in for a second. That building, that church that you were in was 600 years older than America. Yeah. That's pretty...
Not the continent, but the country.
Right.
All right, man. We're down to the nitty-gritty now. I think that was a pretty good show, man. We just kind of cuffed it,
Yeah. Covered a whole bunch of
we did.
Topics.
Stay tuned, everybody. Brandon Turbeville's up next on UCY.tv. I thought Carl was going to cock-a-doodle-doo, but he's just kind of strutting around.
He'll do it as soon as you log off.
As soon as I close the window and turn the mic off, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Get your $10, $20 worth of canned goods, I think. It's getting closer. Whether it be this year or next year, it's still getting closer every day.
Getting closer every day. Thank you, Lance Musser. Everybody, there's some live radio coming up on Anti-Media. Got the show right after Turkville. United Front. Peace.